The planet hung in space like a lonely stone. Its sky was gray, its surface cracked and lifeless. Wind howled across empty plains, carrying dust into the air. From above, the alien ship glided through thick clouds. Its sleek metal body shimmered in the pale light. Inside, 5 alien explorers stood around a glowing table, watching strange symbols dance on the scanner. "There is life here," said Kor, the team leader. His voice was calm but curious. "Faint readings, deep underground." "That's impossible," muttered Vec, the youngest in the crew. "This world is dead." The scanner pulsed again. The readings were steady. Too steady. Not the random signal of wild animals, but a heartbeat in perfect rhythm. "We land." Kor ordered. The ship descended, settling on cracked ground. Dust swirled around their boots as they stepped outside. The air was heavy, tasting of old rain and metal. Tora, the crew's engineer, adjusted her helmet. "No movement, no sound. Even the wind feels wrong." They walked for several minutes before reaching a jagged hill. At its base, half hidden under rock and dirt, stood something unnatural, a door. It was massive, tall as a building, made of a dark metal that shimmered faintly in the dim light. Kor ran a scanner over it. "This is older than our archives can measure," he said. "Maybe it's a vault," Vec suggested. "Treasure?" Before Kor could answer, a voice crackled in their coms. A human voice. "You shouldn't have come here." The crew froze. Tora's eyes widened. "Who said that?" Static followed. No one spoke. Kor tapped his communicator. "Identify yourself." "Silence. It's just interference," said Vec, trying to sound confident. But his hands trembled. The aliens began setting up demolition charges to open the door. Tora worked quickly, placing the devices in the cracks. "Ready," she said. Charges went off with a deep boom. Dust and smoke filled the air. When it cleared, the door still stood, untouched. Kor frowned. "Impossible." He tried again, using a plasma cutter. The blade burned hot and bright, yet the metal refused to melt. It was as if the door itself was alive, resisting every attempt. Then, without warning, the ground shook. Rocks rolled down. The hill. The air vibrated with a low, distant hum. "What's that sound?" Vec whispered. "It's coming from inside," Tora said. The massive door began to move. Slowly, with a deep groan, it slid open. Cold air rushed out, carrying a faint smell, not rot, but something sharper. Metallic like blood. The aliens raised their weapons. Their helmets flickered with warning lights. "Stay alert, Kor." Ordered. Inside was darkness. Not the normal kind, but a heavy, swallowing black, as if the walls themselves were shadows. "Lights on," Kor said. Beams of white light cut through the dark, revealing a wide tunnel stretching far underground. The walls were lined with strange patterns, sharp and symmetrical. Every few steps they passed objects that looked like weapons, but older, heavier, and clearly human in design. "This is human work," Tora said, scanning one of the weapons. "But the tech, it's not from any era we know." As they moved deeper, the tunnel began to slope downward. The hum grew louder, vibrating in their bones. Vec stopped. "Wait, are you hearing that?" They all listened. Beneath the hum was another sound. Footsteps. Slow, measured, echoing in the dark. The aliens formed a tight group, weapons raised. "Who's there?" Kor called out. A figure stepped into the edge of their light. Human, tall, wearing armor made from a strange mix of metal and cloth. Face was hidden behind a mask. "You shouldn't have opened the gate," the figure said. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Kor stepped forward. "We are explorers. We mean no harm." The masked figure tilted its head. "Explorers?" "Yes," Kor replied. "We detected life here. We came to investigate." The figure stood still for a moment, then said, "Follow me." Vec whispered to Tora, "We shouldn't follow." This feels wrong. But Kor gave a sharp signal, and they moved forward. The tunnel widened into a huge underground chamber. And there, in the shadows, stood hundreds of humans, silent, motionless. Their armor gleamed in the dim light, and every one of them carried a weapon. The aliens froze. One human stepped forward, clearly the leader. He removed his helmet, revealing a face lined with scars and eyes like cold steel. "We know why you're here," he said. Kor straightened. "We came in peace." The leader's mouth twitched into something between a smile and a sneer. "Peace is for those who can't win a war." Vec glanced around nervously. "Where did you all come from? How long have you been here?" The leader's gaze hardened. "We have been here longer than you can imagine. We stayed hidden. Because we learned what the galaxy does to humans." The aliens said nothing. The leader stepped closer. "Every alien race that found us never left." Behind him, the humans' weapons shifted slightly, metal scraping against metal. Kor's grip on his blaster tightened. "Are you threatening us?" The leader's voice was calm. "No, I'm warning you." A cold silence filled the chamber. Somewhere deep in the tunnels, something heavy moved, like machinery coming to life. The hum grew louder. Torah swallowed. "What is that?" The leader didn't answer. Instead, he said, "You will see." The hum grew deeper, echoing through the walls. It felt like the sound was alive, crawling under their skin. The alien crew glanced at each other, but no one spoke. The human leader's eyes never left Kor. "Come," the leader said finally. Two armored humans stepped forward, their boots heavy against the stone floor. They moved without a sound of breathing, as if even the air obeyed them. The aliens were guided through another tunnel, this one narrower, the ceiling low enough that Vec had to duck. Torah kept her scanner running. "I'm getting strange readings. The walls. They're not just rock. They're mixed with some kind of alloy." "Traps?" Vec whispered. "Possibly," Torah replied. The human leader's voice echoed in the tunnel. "This place is older. The McColony, you see, older than your maps. You think you've come to study us, but it is we who have studied you." Kor said nothing, but his eyes narrowed. They passed through a set of doors that slid open silently. The next chamber was enormous. The walls curved in perfect symmetry, and in the center stood a towering gate made of the same black metal as the one above ground. But this gate was covered in strange carvings, scenes of battles, alien ships burning, warriors standing over fallen enemies. Vec stared. These are alien species from the archives." The human leader nodded. "Yes, all of them came here. None returned." Kor stepped forward. "Why hide? Why not contact the wider galaxy?" The leader's smile was cold. "Because the galaxy does not bring peace. It brings chains. We broke ours a long time ago." The hum changed tone. Now it sounded like grinding metal. The ground trembled slightly. "What is that?" Torah asked again. The leader turned to face them fully. "That is what keeps us safe." The chamber doors closed behind the aliens with a heavy thud. Vek spun around, panic in his voice. "They locked us in." Kor raised his weapon. "We mean you no harm, but if this is a threat," the humans didn't move. Dozens of armored warriors stood around the walls, watching. Then the gate began to open. Cold blue light poured through the widening crack. The grinding sound grew into a roar. Something huge moved behind it. A machine, taller than any of them, with broad shoulders and glowing eyes. Its body was a fusion of human steel and stolen alien technology. Weapons bristled along its arms. Vec's voice was a whisper. "What is that thing?" The leader looked at him. "Our guardian. Built from the bones of those who thought we were prey." The machine stepped into the chamber. Every step shook the ground. The alien scanners went wild, detecting energy far beyond their own weapons' power. Tora swallowed hard. If they release that thing, we're done. Kor kept his voice steady. We came for peace. We will leave and no one else will bother you. The leader tilted his head. You think you can leave? He snapped his fingers. The chamber lights dimmed, and the only glow came from the machine's eyes. Vec grabbed Kor's arm. We can't fight this. We need to run. But when they turned, the doors were gone, replaced by solid wall. You were led here for a reason, the leader said. You will return to your people with a message. Tell them the humans of this world are not weak. Tell them we remember. Kor's voice was sharp. And if we refuse? The leader's gaze hardened. Then you will stay here, forever. The machine moved closer, its weapons powering up. Energy hissed through its circuits. The air itself seemed to crackle. Vec raised his blaster, but Tora grabbed his arm. Don't. You'll only make it worse. The leader walked forward until he stood face to face with Kor. The galaxy sees humans as fragile, but we learned. We evolved, and now we hunt those who hunt us. Before Kor could reply, the machine stopped. A panel in its chest opened, revealing something inside. A sphere glowing with shifting light. Tora gasped. Alien tech, from the Overus Empire. The leader smiled faintly. Yes, they brought their war here. They lost. Their technology became ours, Kor's mind raced. If this colony could defeat an empire, then they were far more dangerous than he had imagined. The leader stepped back. You will return to your ship. You will tell your kind to stay away. The wall behind them shifted, revealing the tunnel they had entered through. Vec didn't wait. He bolted toward it. Kor hesitated, meeting the leader's eyes one last time. If we return, it will be with more than 5 of us. The leader's voice was calm, almost amused. Then we will be ready. The aliens moved quickly through the tunnels, the hum following them like a heartbeat. When they reached the surface, the massive gate above ground had closed again. The air was silent, the sky gray. Back aboard their ship, Kor gave the order to lift off. No one spoke as the planet shrank behind them. But in the silence, Vec muttered, We're never coming back here, right? Kor didn't answer. His mind was already turning. The warning had been clear. But so had the challenge. Far below, in the hidden colony, the leader watched their ship vanish into the clouds. He turned to the machine. They will come again, he said softly, and when they do, we will show them why they should have stayed away. The machine's eyes glowed brighter, and deep underground, the hum rose again. Steady, patient, waiting. Days turned into weeks. Deep beneath the gray planet's surface, the hidden human colony stayed alert. The leader moved through the war halls, watching warriors train, checking weapons, and speaking with engineers. The hum of the great machine never stopped. It was their heartbeat, their shield, their warning bell. In the command room, a young scout rushed in. Leader, we've picked up movement in the upper atmosphere. The leader's eyes narrowed. How many? 3 ships. Large ones. Not the same design as before. The leader walked to the central table, where a holographic map showed the planet and the approaching ships. The shapes were sharp, sleek, and bristling with weapons. They have returned, the leader said. A warrior stepped forward. Should we hide again? The leader shook his head slowly. No, they will search. They will find us. Better to greet them on our terms. Above the planet, the alien fleet descended through the clouds. On the lead ship, Kor stood at the command deck. His face was harder now, his voice colder. This time, he said to his crew, we do not ask questions. We take what we came for. Vec, standing behind him, shifted uneasily. Sir, are you sure? We barely made it out alive last time. Kor turned sharply. That's why we brought an army. The fleet touched down on the surface, kicking up huge waves of dust. Hundreds of alien soldiers poured out, armed with heavy rifles and energy shields. They formed tight lines, moving toward the hill where the massive gate lay hidden. From below, the humans watched through hidden cameras. The leader stood before the great gate, speaking to the warriors around him. They believe numbers will. Make them strong, he said. They believe we will be afraid. Let us remind them why fear belongs to others. The alien soldiers reached the base of the hill. Explosives were set. With a deafening blast, the ground shook, but when the dust cleared, the gate was untouched. One alien soldier muttered, "Just like before." Kor stepped forward, raising his hand. "Open it," he ordered. Special engineers carried in a massive drilling machine. Its engines roared as it pressed into the metal. Sparks flew, but the drill slowed, then stopped completely, as if biting into unbreakable stone. Suddenly, the ground rumbled. The hill itself seemed to breathe. Vec stepped back, fear in his voice. "It's happening again." The gate slid open on its own. Cold air rushed out. The smell of metal and dust filled the aliens' lungs. From the darkness, humans appeared. Dozens at first, then hundreds, stepping forward with perfect, silent discipline. Their armor gleamed under the dim light, weapons in hand. The leader stepped out, his voice calm. "You came back." Kor stared at him. "You left us no choice. You have technology that belongs to the galaxy. We will take it." The leader's smile was slow and dangerous. "You think it belongs to you? It belongs to those who can hold it." Kor raised his arm, signaling his troops. "Attack." The first wave of alien soldiers surged forward, but the ground under them shifted. Plates of metal hidden beneath. The dirt snapped open, and in an instant, alien soldiers were falling into deep pits. Others tried to shoot, but their rifles sparked and went dead. The leader's voice carried across the battlefield. "We have learned to turn your weapons into stone." From the shadows of the tunnel, the great machine emerged, larger than before, its frame glowing with new power. Mounted cannons rotated. Aiming at the alien fleet above, the machine fired. A beam of blue energy shot into the sky, striking one of the ships. It exploded instantly, pieces raining down. Kor shouted into his comms, "Shields up, return fire." But their shots were slow, clumsy, and the humans moved like water, flowing between them. Warriors with blades of shining steel cut through alien armor as if it were paper. Vec found himself cornered, a human warrior's blade at his throat. He froze, breathing hard. The warrior whispered, "Go home, or stay here forever." On the Jinwu battlefield, Kor tried to push forward toward the leader, but the human's formation closed around him. He fought hard, but every strike was blocked, every step forced backward. The leader finally stood face to face with him. "You brought an army," the leader said. "Now you will lose one." The machine roared, firing again. Another alien ship fell from the sky in flames. The last remaining ship hovered, engines whining, ready to flee. Kor's communicator crackled. "Commander, we must retreat." Kor's eyes locked with the leader's. "This isn't over." The leader's voice was calm. "No, it has only begun." With a sharp signal, the humans stopped attacking. They allowed the remaining aliens to run for their ship. Kor and Vec were among the last to board before it lifted off. From the ground, the leader watched them vanish into the clouds. He turned to his warriors. "They will bring more," he said. "But so will we." Far above, on the alien ship, Kor stood at the viewing window. The planet looked small and quiet again. But he knew the truth. It was a trap waiting for its prey. Vec approached him quietly. "Sir, if they can do that to us, what chance do we have next time?" Kor's answer was simple. "We make next time bigger, stronger, and if we can't beat them," he looked out at the stars, "we burn the planet." Neither man noticed the small human drone attached to the ship's hull, sending every word back to the colony below. In the deep chambers of the hidden colony, the leader stood before a long table. Around it sat the commanders, their armor scratched from the recent battle. The hum of the great machine filled the silence. "They will come back," the leader said. "And when they do, it will be with enough fire to burn this world to dust." A commander leaned forward. "Then we must strike before they do." The leader's gaze moved slowly around the table. "Yes, we take the fight to them. The galaxy has always hunted us. Now we hunt back." In the shadows of the room, engineers worked on sleek new ships, small, fast, and armed with weapons taken from alien wreckage. These were not made for defense. They were made for invasion. A young scout entered with a data chip. "The drone we placed on their last ship sent back everything. We know their base location, their fleet size, and their fuel lines." The leader took the chip, studying it for a moment before sliding it into the table's projector. A map of the galaxy appeared, a glowing point marking the alien home system. "We strike here," the leader said, pointing, "before their army gathers." Above the alien homeworld, in a massive space station, Kor stood in the war room. Holograms of ships surrounded him. "We will return with 20 ships," he told his officers. "We burn the colony, we take their technology, and we end the threat forever." Vec stood at the edge of the room. "Sir, we've seen their traps, their weapons. If we go in without..." Kor cut him off. "Enough fear. This is not a suggestion." Outside the station's walls, stars glittered peacefully, hiding the fact that something small and fast was already approaching. 3 human ships, black as space, slipped past the outer patrols. They moved like shadows, their engines silent, their heat signatures masked. Inside one of the ships, the human leader stood behind the pilot. "Remember," he said quietly, "we are not here to destroy everything. We are here to take what matters and make them afraid to chase us again." The ships glided into the station's lower docks. Disguised as cargo vessels, they passed inspection without a second glance. In the alien war room, alarms suddenly blared. "Intruders in the lower sector." A guard shouted. Kor's head snapped up. "Seal the docks." But it was too late. The humans had already moved. Their armor blended with shadows, their steps silent. Within minutes, they reached the station's energy core, a massive sphere pulsing with blue light. The leader placed a small device on its surface. "This will not destroy it," he told his second-in-command. "It will control it." In the command center, lights flickered. The holograms of the alien fleet vanished, replaced by a single message written in sharp human script. "We see you. We can reach you." Kor's fists clenched. "Find them." The humans moved through the station like ghosts, disabling weapon systems, locking blast doors, and sealing communications. Every alien squad that tried to intercept them was met with quick, brutal precision. Vec found himself in a hallway as 2 humans stepped out of the shadows. One raised a blade, but the other stopped him. "This one is not your enemy," the second human said. "Not yet." Before Vec could speak, they were gone, leaving only the faint echo of boots. In the energy core, the device's timer reached 0. The lights dimmed. Every ship in the dock powered down. Alarms screamed through the station. Kor stormed into the sector just as the humans were boarding their ships. "Cowards!" he shouted. "Face me!" The leader paused at the ramp. His voice was calm. "You came to our world. Now we have come to yours. Next time we won't leave anything standing." The human ships shot out of the docks, vanishing into space before the aliens could give chase. In the silence that followed, Kor turned to Vec. "We find them. We follow them. And we end them." Vec hesitated. "Sir, what if they want you to follow?" Kor's eyes narrowed. "Then they will regret it." Far away, in the black of space, the human leader sat in his command seat. watching the alien homeworld shrink behind them. His voice was steady, but his eyes were cold. "They will chase us," he said. "And when they do, we will be ready. With the real trap." The great machine back in the colony hummed louder, as if it knew war was no longer coming to them. They were bringing it to the galaxy. The alien fleet moved through space like a wall of steel. 20 ships, armed with heavy cannons and shield generators, followed a single trail, the faint energy signature of the human strike force. On the command deck of the flagship, Kor stood in silence, his eyes fixed on the star map. "They are not running fast," Vec said quietly, glancing at the readout. "Almost like they want us to catch them." Kor's lips curled into a cold smile. "Good, then we will." For 3 days the chase continued. The human ships never vanished from sensors, but they stayed just far enough ahead to avoid a direct hit. To Kor, it looked like fear. To Vec, it looked like bait. At last, the humans entered a dense asteroid field. The rocks were massive, some the size of cities, drifting slowly in the void. An officer frowned. "Commander, we should slow down. It's dangerous to fly heavy ships through this sector." Kor shook his head. "They are cornered. We press on." The alien fleet moved between the asteroids, shields glowing faintly as debris scraped against them, but the path ahead was strangely clear, almost like a tunnel carved through the chaos. "Too easy," Vec muttered. From inside one of the largest asteroids, the human leader watched the alien fleet draw closer. He stood in a hidden command center, its walls covered in stolen alien tech. Engineers worked quickly, checking weapons, calibrating targeting systems. "Phase 1 complete," a voice said over the COMS. The leader nodded. "Phase 2 begins when they cross the marker." Back in the alien flagship, Kor leaned over the navigation display. "We'll cut them off in the next sector. Prepare boarding teams." The ship's AI suddenly pinged. "Warning, multiple power signatures detected." Before Kor could respond, the asteroid walls around them lit up. Dozens of hidden turrets unfolded, powered by a mix of human steel and alien technology. "Open fire!" Kor shouted, but the first volley came from the humans. Blue energy beams lanced through space, tearing into the alien formation. One ship exploded instantly, another spun out of control, venting fire into the void. The alien fleet tried to scatter, but the tunnel of asteroids forced them into tight formation. From the human command center, the leader's voice was calm. "Close the exits." Massive metal gates, hidden inside the asteroid field, slammed shut behind the alien fleet. The only way forward was toward the waiting human ships, now appearing from behind the rocks. Like predators from the dark, Vec gripped the edge of the console. "Commander, we're trapped." Kor's voice was sharp. "Not yet. Push forward. Break their line." The alien ships charged, firing everything they had. But the humans moved fast, weaving through the rocks, their smaller ships darting in and out like hunters with spears. On one flank, a human vessel slammed into an alien destroyer's side, attaching a device to its hull. Seconds later, the destroyer's power went dark. The ship drifted helplessly as boarding pods latched onto it. Inside the chaos, Kor's flagship pressed toward the human leader's ship. "I want that commander alive." Kor barked. The two flagships faced each other across a narrow stretch of space. On the human bridge, the leader gave a single order: "Bring the Guardian online." From deep inside the asteroid, the great machine emerged, now rebuilt for space combat. Its massive limbs gripped the asteroid's surface as cannons fired in every direction. Its chest opened, releasing a swarm of small, glowing drones that streaked toward the alien fleet. The drones latched onto alien ships, slicing through armor with beams of light. Alarms echoed across the fleet. Vec turned to Kor, panic in his voice. "Sir, we can't win this." "We have to." A sudden explosion rocked the flagship, throwing both men to the floor. Smoke filled the air. Kor dragged himself up, eyes burning with fury. Retreat signal. Now, the remaining alien ships began pulling back, blasting through. Smaller asteroids in desperation. The human leader watched them go, making no move to chase. Let them run, he said softly. They will return to their world. And they will remember that nowhere is safe. Hours later, the battlefield was quiet. Wreckage floated between the asteroids, some still glowing from the fight. Human crews moved among the debris, collecting weapons, parts, and data. In the command center, the leader looked over the hall. Every time they come, they give us more to use, he said. One of his officers asked, and if they stop coming? The leader's gaze turned cold. Then we go to them. Far away, aboard the damaged alien flagship, Kor stood in the medbay, his arm wrapped in bandages. He stared out at the stars, rage boiling inside him. This is not the end, he told. Vek, we will build more. We will come back. And we will crush them. But deep in his mind, he could still see the machine, the drones, and the calm eyes of the human leader. For the first time, Kor wondered if victory was even possible. The alien flagship drifted in the shadows of a dying star. Fires had been put out, hull breaches sealed, but the air still smelled of burnt metal. In the command chamber, Kor stood before the long-range star map, his eyes locked on the sector. Where they had been ambushed. Vek entered quietly, carrying a small data tablet. The engineers say the fleet will need months to rebuild. Months, Kor repeated, his voice flat. Months while the humans dig deeper into whatever trap they've built. They fought differently this time, Vek said. Faster. Stronger. That machine. Kor raised a hand, silencing him. The machine was not their greatest weapon. It was their knowledge. They knew where we would be. Vek hesitated, then held out the tablet. We found something. Hidden in the wreckage we recovered after the retreat. On the screen was a fragment of navigation data. The coordinates were marked in a human encryption style, but alien software had been used to hide them. They've been somewhere else, Vek said slowly. Beyond the border systems. Kor stared at the coordinates, set course. Vek blinked. But the fleet. We go alone, Kor said. No warships. A stealth craft. I want to see what they're hiding. 2 days later, a small black vessel slipped away from the alien repair yards. It moved without beacon or ID. Signal, vanishing into deep space. Inside, Kor sat at the helm, Vek beside him. The journey was silent. No chatter, no noise but the hum of the engines. The further they traveled, the stranger the readings became. Gravity pockets where there should be none. Artificial energy bursts that faded as soon as scanners tried to lock on. This sector is supposed to be empty, Vek whispered. Empty sectors don't hide their stars, Kor replied. Ahead, space shimmered. Not like heat haze, more like water rippling. Kor adjusted the controls, and the shimmer expanded, revealing a massive structure hanging in the void. It was not a single station. It was dozens of stations, linked together by glowing bridges. Huge docking arms reached out to hold ships from dozens of species, not just humans. Vek leaned forward, stunned. This isn't a colony, it's a city. No, Kor said quietly. It's a fortress. Inside the fortress, ships moved in precise patterns. Some were clearly war vessels, others trade haulers. Alien species walked the docking bridges. Beside humans, their armor marked with the same insignia, a silver circle crossed by 3 lines. They've made alliances, Vek said. With races we've never even seen. Kor's jaw tightened. This is why they've been so hard to crush. They're not alone. They've built a network. Before they could get closer, a voice crackled over the com. Unidentified. Craft, you have entered restricted space. Power down your engines and transmit identification. Kor killed the com. We're leaving. But it was too late. A human interceptor broke formation and sped toward them. Flanked by two smaller alien fighters, Vec's fingers flew over the controls. "We can outrun them." "No," Kor said. "We let them catch us." Vec stared at him. "You want to be captured. They will take us inside. And I want to see their heart." The alien craft was escorted into one of the docking bays. Armed soldiers surrounded it instantly. Humans mixed with reptilian and insectoid warriors, all wearing the same insignia. The bay doors opened, and a tall human in dark armor stepped forward. His helmet retracted, revealing cold gray eyes. "Step out," the human ordered. Kor obeyed. His stance was calm, his eyes sweeping the room. "You're far from your homeworld," the human smirked. "Home is wherever we hold the line." Vec was dragged away by guards, but Kor was led deeper into the fortress. They passed through corridors lined with heavy weaponry, shield generators, and what looked like research labs. Everywhere, humans and aliens worked side by side. At last, they reached a high chamber with a panoramic view of space. And there, standing by the window, was the human leader from the asteroid battle. "You came far to find us," the leader said without turning. "I wanted to see what you're afraid to show." Kor replied. The leader finally faced him. "Afraid? No. Careful. What is this place?" Kor demanded. The leader walked to a large display in the center of the room. A galaxy map appeared, but unlike any Kor had seen, it was dotted with dozens of marked zones, each glowing in the same silver circle emblem. "This," the leader said, "is not a fortress. It's a chain. Every circle is a bastion, hidden in deep space. Supply routes, defense grids, intelligence networks. We've been building it for decades." Kor's eyes narrowed. "To fight us." "To fight anyone," the leader corrected. "You think your people are the only threat? You're not. You're just the loudest one right now." Kor studied the map, realizing what it meant. Even if his empire destroyed one world, 10 more would stand ready. The humans had built something larger than war. They had built a shield around half the galaxy. "You can't hold it forever," Kor said quietly. The leader's gaze was steady. "Maybe not, but long enough to make you think twice before stepping into our space again." Kor smiled faintly. "And if I don't think twice?" The leader leaned closer. "Then we stop playing defense." For the first time, Kor understood. The humans weren't just fighting to survive. They were preparing to strike back. And if they ever chose to attack, it would not be one world against the alien empire. It would be dozens. The human leader turned away, ending the conversation. "Take him back to his ship. Let him carry the message home." As Kor was let out, the vast city buzzed with activity. Ships launched, patrols rotated, new alliances were formed. The fortress was alive, growing stronger every hour. And somewhere, deep inside, plans were already being made for the day when the humans would stop waiting for war to come and bring it instead. The human fortress hung in silence after Kor's departure. In the command chamber, Admiral Rain stood before the galaxy map, the silver circles glowing like stars. His officers waited, eyes fixed on him. "He will carry the message," Rain said. "And his people will think they have time." One of the officers, a young woman with short black hair, spoke up. "Do they?" Rains turned toward her. "No, that's why we move now." A murmur rippled through the room. For years, the humans and their allies had fought to hold the line. Attacks came, were repelled, and the enemy always returned. But this was different. This was a fence. Rains tapped the console. A red circle appeared far from human space. The Koran homeworld, their seat of power. "We hit it before they can rebuild." General Tavik, a reptilian ally, let out a low hiss. "A dangerous strike. They will throw everything at us." "Exactly," Rain said. "We draw their fleets. Home, away from the front. Then our border colonies can breathe." The fleet moved within hours. Massive human battleships, swift alien frigates, and stealth craft all left the fortress in staggered jumps to hide their numbers. The operation had one rule: speed was survival. In the lead vessel Resolute, Captain Mara Soren studied the incoming data. Her crew worked fast, their faces tense but steady. She had fought the Korans before, but never on their own ground. "Stealth field holding?" she asked. "Stable," her navigator replied. "No scans on us yet." Mara glanced at her second-in-command, an insectoid officer named Vrek. "Once we breach their perimeter, we go loud. All weapons, all shields." Vrek's antennae twitched. "And if they have more defenses than expected?" She gave a thin smile. "Then we improvise." The first sign of the Koran home system came in the form of light, dozens of moons and orbital rings glowing in artificial patterns. The homeworld itself was massive, its surface covered in dark oceans and bright city grids, but it was not undefended. Reading. "Over 100 defense platforms," the sensor officer whispered. "That's more than we thought," Vrek said. Mara keyed the com. "Fleet Command, we have visual on targets." "Confirm strike plan." Rain's voice came back, calm but firm. "Proceed. Hit their orbital arrays first. Without those, their fleet coordination will fail." The Resolute surged forward, and the rest of the strike fleet followed. The first explosion lit the darkness like a second sun. Human plasma cannons tore through the nearest defense platform, sending its burning wreckage spinning toward the planet. Alien frigates joined in, firing precise bursts that crippled communications relays, but the Korans were fast to respond. Warships emerged from behind the moons, their hulls gleaming with fresh armor. The sky turned into a storm of fire. "They were ready for us," Vrek shouted. "Not ready enough," Mara growled. "Focus fire on grid node 4. The crew obeyed, and the targeted node exploded, sending a chain reaction through half the orbital network. The Koran fleet reeled as their targeting systems flickered and died. Deep inside the Koran command palace, alarms wailed. Kor himself stood before a giant war map, watching red markers, enemy ships, pierce the heart of his system. "How did they find us so quickly?" an officer demanded. "They didn't just find us," Kor said. "They planned this." He turned to another officer. "Recall every warship." "I want our full strength here now," the officer hesitated. "That will leave the border." "Forget the border." Kor snapped. "If our home falls, the Empire falls." Back in orbit, the battle raged. The Resolute took heavy hits, its shield sparking under relentless fire. Mara's hands gripped the armrests of her command chair. "We're losing the port batteries," the weapons chief warned. "Reroute power from the stealth core." Mara ordered. "That will burn it out. Do it." The extra energy surged into the ship's guns, and the next volley smashed through a Koran battleship's central spine. The alien vessel split in two, vanishing into the atmosphere below. But the fleet's real target lay ahead, a massive control station that linked all planetary defenses. Destroying it would cripple the Korans for months. As they approached, heavy beams of energy lanced out from the station, shredding 2 allied frigates in seconds. The space between the fleets glowed with debris and fire. "We'll never get close," Vrek said. Mara's eyes narrowed. "Then we send someone who can." She opened a com to the smallest craft in the fleet, a human stealth corvette named Phantom. "Phantom, this is Resolute. You are green for run." A calm voice replied, "Acknowledged. See you on the other side." The Phantom vanished from sensors and darted through the chaos, weaving between blasts and wreckage. The enemy didn't notice it until it was too late. It slammed into the station's main reactor with a blinding flash. The explosion was so bright, it burned shadows into the fleet's decks. When it cleared, the entire control station was gone. Only drifting fragments remained. Across the battlefield, Koran's ships faltered. Without the station's guidance, their formations broke apart. The humans and their allies pressed the advantage, driving the enemy back toward the planet. But Mara gave the order no one expected. All ships, disengage. Repeat, disengage. We've made our point. The fleet turned away, leaving the Koran. Homeworld battered but not destroyed. Hours later, in the fortress command chamber, Admiral Rains listened to the battle report. Losses had been heavy, but the strike had succeeded. The Koran fleet would take months to recover, and their borders were wide open. General Tavik leaned closer. Why not finish them now? Rains shook his head. We don't want them extinct. We want them cautious. Fear lasts longer than destruction. Somewhere far away, in the ruins of his control station, Kor stared at the stars. The humans had crossed half the galaxy to strike his throne, and he knew with cold certainty that they would come again. The galaxy held its breath. Both humans and Korans knew the last strike had changed everything. Systems once secure were now vulnerable, fleets weakened, and a fragile balance of fear hung in the void. In the human fortress, Admiral Rains paced before the star map. His officers stood silently. They will retaliate, said General Tavik. Sooner or later, they will come with everything they have. Rains nodded. Let them. We are ready, but I don't want just defense. This time, we set the rules. A young scout entered, panting. Admiral, sensors detect an anomaly beyond the outer rim. Massive energy readings. Something huge. Rain's eyes narrowed. Describe. The scout hesitated. It's moving. Faster than anything we know. Entire fleets disappear before it reaches them. It's not Koran. Murmurs ran through the room. The humans and allies exchanged worried glances. Rains tapped the map. Show me. On the display, a dark shape moved across the galaxy, leaving streaks of energy behind it. Entire systems fell silent in its path. Outposts, colonies, and stations were consumed without warning. Vrek hissed. What is that? It's destroying everything. Faster than a fleet could. Rain's jaw tightened. It's not a fleet. It's a force. Something older, something bigger. And it's coming straight for the Koran homeworld. Far above. The Koran homeworld. Kor watched the sky. His remaining ships tried to intercept the dark shape, but sensors failed. The thing moved faster than light seemed to allow, crushing ships without warning. This isn't human, Kor shouted to his officers. It's something else. Vek spoke cautiously. Commander, perhaps we underestimated the humans' warning. Perhaps this is a consequence of their reach. Kor spun on him. Don't speak nonsense. This is an enemy. We fight it. But before they could act, the dark force swept through orbit, obliterating the remaining defense platforms in a flash of blue fire. Cities on the surface went dark. The once proud homeworld was now a glowing crater. Kor fell to his knees. Impossible. A come signal came from his flagship. It was faint, garbled. All units, retreat. Survive. In the human fortress, Rain's crew watched the readings. The dark force moved past Koran space, toward the systems humans had once called their own. Rain spoke quietly. This is bigger than any war we've ever fought. Bigger than Kor. Bigger than us. We survive by understanding it. Not by fighting. Tavik's eyes narrowed. So we run? No, Rain said. We learn, we prepare, and if it comes for us. He paused, staring at the display. Then we make it regret it. Days passed. Scouts sent to intercept the force returned, with fragments of strange readings. Its energy signature did not match any known physics. Ships sent to attack it disintegrated instantly. And yet, it moved with purpose, not chaos, toward the outer rim. Kor, now a fugitive among the stars, gathered what remained of his loyal forces. He sought humans for answers, for alliance, or for revenge. But when he arrived near the fortress, all he found were shadows. Human fleets had evacuated most colonies in an orderly withdrawal. The fortress itself pulsed with defensive shields, holding hundreds of ships ready to respond. "You survive because of fear," Kor said when he confronted Rain's overcomes. "And you will fall because of it." Rain's voice was calm. "We survive because we prepare. You fall because you were blind to what comes next. Look beyond your war, Kor. Look at the galaxy." Behind Rains, the stars themselves seemed alive. Sensors showed the dark force slowing, pausing over an uncharted system. Massive structures, perhaps natural, perhaps artificial, glimmered under the unknown energy. Vrek hissed from the side. "Admiral, it's waiting." Rains turned, or watching. For the first time, humans and Korans stared at the same threat. Neither could touch it, neither could predict it. The war between them seemed insignificant in the presence of something far greater, something that had arrived unannounced, indifferent to borders, fleets, or empires. Kor clenched his fists. "If it chooses to destroy us, we'll fight it anyway." Rain studied the readings. "Then we fight together. At least to survive. Because this, whatever this is, doesn't care about your pride or my plans. It only consumes." The silence in the chamber was deafening. Neither humans nor Korans could guess its intentions. All they could do was prepare, watch, and wait. Outside, the void held a massive shadow. It pulsed, moved, and stretched across the systems like a living storm. And somewhere deep in the black, it waited, aware of the galaxy below, a force older and greater than any that had come before. Rains finally said, quietly, almost to himself, "We thought the galaxy belonged to us. We were wrong. Survival isn't about victory anymore. It's about knowing who or what is coming next." The stars flickered. The shadow shifted. And for the first time, both humans and aliens realized that the war they had been fighting for decades was just the beginning of something far, far larger. The galaxy had changed, and nothing would ever be the same. This final part gives your story a grand, suspenseful, and open-ended climax, leaving readers hooked while providing a massive twist beyond the human-alien war.